Hey everybody, welcome back to Tales Off the Holotables. I haven't done this in a while. I know a few weeks ago we talked with C Squared, one of our players, but I haven't sat down with a content creator in quite some time. I've been busy, sue me. I'm here today with Rabid Beaver, who kind of came onto the scene out of nowhere. Nobody ever heard of him. Then suddenly he's the biggest thing, and Beaver, man, I see your name on Reddit like every day. There's just, how do you do this? Oh, Beaver's got this guide. How do you do this? Oh, he's got this great guide. So number one, how you doing tonight, man?
I am doing good. I'm going insane with how busy I am, but I'm doing good.
Okay. So I think everybody knows your origin story to some extent. You gave content creation a little bit of a try. You took a chance, threw some caution to the wind with Arnold. You got noticed. That's where you got your initial following. But you've been going full steam ahead over the last year and change. Tell me about that journey in a nutshell. How has that been?
It's been crazy, absolutely wild. Like, I put out that first video being like, this is just a video that I think everyone needs to know because every guide out there, like, I just can't do it. I don't have the zetas, I don't have the characters to do these things. And so I'm like, I'm gonna put this out. And then it started exploding, and I literally could like watch the numbers go up while I was sitting there at work. I'd refresh my page and it'd just jump up by 50. I'm like, what is happening? And so I just started making videos and just frantically just making thing after thing. Just, this guide went well. What's another event that I know? I've done SLKR, and I made an SLKR guide. And so like I just started making videos about things that I know, and it just kept working. And I just kind of kept at it and researching it on the fly. That's basically the entirety of my experience on YouTube has just been, I don't know how to make a thumbnail. I'm going to go look up how to make a thumbnail and learn for the next 4 hours, and just constant doing that and coming up with just random stuff.
I
Like,
think I think that that's something a lot of people don't realize. Like, and I'm sure you see it on your Discord as well. I see it on mine. People who are like, oh, I'm gonna, give streaming a try. I'm gonna give this a chance, and I'm always encouraging of that. Like, hey, give it a go. But they don't realize that even if you're more lo-fi like myself, I don't have a green screen, I don't have a background, I don't have a lot of cool assets like you do, but there's still a lot of work, and I can only imagine that it's like 5 or 6 or even 10 times more on your end, between finding backgrounds, between thumbnails and music and connecting with people. It's a lot for every, I don't know, 2 to 3 hour stream. How much time do you think that is? Does that equate to for you?
So a lot of it actually gets easier over time, which I do appreciate. Because you can automate things. You
Okay.
can do things that are you don't have to put work in anymore. Like for instance, with I have an outro screen for my streams after I got someone to make the background for it. It's literally just some stuff I set up on Stream Elements, and then it updates itself. So I don't have to touch that at all. I just go to it and call it a day. And so like initially a ton of work goes into like the stuff that I do, but nowadays with like the stream kind of stuff, unless it's one of those ones that I'm doing something crazy like, I've done a blind GAC where I have someone who's never played the game play my GAC, and I have to
Okay.
walk them through with a blindfold on. Like
I like
those
it.
ones, obviously, I need to find someone that doesn't play the game but knows enough Star Wars to know who Darth Revan is.
Okay.
But like, besides that, it's mostly just confirming that things are working and kind of jumping right in. And so I'll spend, if I do a thumbnail for a stream, I'll spend like 5 minutes on the thumbnail. I have everything kind of saved up
Do you have it
because like,
all?
Yeah, I've got like, 8 to 10 faces that I use across my thumbnails. They're all already in Photoshop and I can just toggle them on and off. And
And
so I
just
can
pop
just
it.
choose which
Okay.
one I want. And then I just kind of make it from there. And so when you first start out, it's so much work to do a lot of this stuff. And then as you kind of get some experience, it becomes very much just automated. And I've whipped up a thumbnail on stream with people before because I recorded a video with them to be like,
Mhm.
oh, let's talk about this news thing. And so I can whip it up on stream if I wanted to.
I think, when you say, I said this to you before we hit the record button. I don't get a chance to watch a lot of content. I work 2 jobs. I'm rarely at my computer. I don't want to be reductive. So I want to believe that the ideas I come up with are either mine uniquely or I came up with independently of someone else. But the idea of something like a blind GAC it's the kind of thing that I find hilarious and I would definitely watch. I've only done it once or twice where I've had other content creators set up my defense and walk me through it because I'm not a GAC player and just say, hey, you're running the show, but whatever. I need to know where you came up with this idea because I would sit there and watch that for 3 hours. Like I love the idea in principle.
So I was doing research for YouTube because, okay, this is gonna be a really dumb confession for people to know. So I've watched a lot of YouTube. I first thought about becoming a content creator in high school when I was watching Markiplier when he was first getting popular. And so, I never watched streamers though. I, I have never understood why people watch streamers until I started watching Arnold. Arnold was the
Okay.
first streamer I had ever watched. And I donated at one point, and I'd never understood why people donate, but there was something that he was doing that I was like, oh, I know how to do this. You need to do this to make sure it works. And so I donated and did it, and he said my name, and I was like, oh, that dopamine rush.
Now
That's
I
why
get it.
people like streamers. I get it now. But because I'd never really gotten into streaming until I started streaming, I didn't really have a solid basis on what a good streamer is, and so I started
Okay.
doing research on other streamers and trying to learn how to be a good streamer versus just a good content creator, which is what I'd been focusing on up till then. And so I was watching other streamers. I found out a lot of streamers are really just don't put that much effort into it.
That's me, by the way, just so you know. But
Not just you, a lot of these top streamers, they don't even look at chat. Even if my chat's going crazy, I've had days where I've had one stream where I had 400 people in chat at the time due to it being the era news. When the
yeah,
first era update came out, I went live right then because I was planning a roster review stream, and so I just read through it live. And I had 400 people there. I'd still cherry pick different chat messages to read while I was going along, even though I couldn't keep up with chat. And I'm like, these streamers don't even look at their chat. They're just, oh, a donation, cool, and then they go back to playing their game. And I'm like,
I want
maybe
you to
I am
know.
doing better than I thought.
I want you to know that I gave you a choice there, where you could have said, "No, I'm not talking about you," and what you chose to do was say, "No, yes, you, but also other people." So, and that's and that's fine.
If you want to classify yourself that way, who am I to
That's
tell you
fair.
otherwise?
I mean, I've said to people, and I've told this story before to people. I have never understood Twitch. I've never understood watching streamers, which is actually weird to me because I grew up with a brother who is 10 years older than me. And I do distinctly remember knocking on his door at night when I'd hear him playing Tomb Raider and being like, hey, can I come in and watch, please? And I would sit on his bed and just watch him for hours. So it's like a weird disconnect where, yes, I used to do that. And then I didn't understand when, my ex-girlfriend, her brother, same thing with Markiplier. So I used to watch it with him sometimes, because he watched it. And I was like, I don't get the point of YouTube. I don't get the point of Twitch. And now doing it, I get it a little bit because I do pop into streams and I do like chatting with people and I do like it's nice when your chat is read, or when there's, interaction with somebody who could live an hour away from you or 6 hours away from you, or be on the other side of the globe.
Yeah, it does make for some surreal experiences too. Never have I more like questioned my life than looking over while making a PB&J sandwich on stream and seeing that 72 people were watching me make and eat a PB&J sandwich. Like,
I've done it before. During spring break last year, I was streaming every day. I normally only stream on Sundays, and it was like a thing. My wife would be working in this room, her office, and I would be upstairs on my laptop, and it would be like noon. I'd be like, all right, guys, what are we ordering on DoorDash? Like, I'm not going downstairs to make lunch. So, and for some reason, people like enjoyed watching me eat a salad. And I'm not here to judge, but there were people in chat being like, yeah, like that crunch is just so good. Okay, ASMR. Fine.
Their favorite question for me whenever I eat on stream is, put this in Swigo terms. How do you rate this food?
R9 cup. It's great.
It's great. I'm really good at BSing and just making things up in general. I have been for a long time. And so I'll just go off and just be like, it's like a Crex Phoenix team. It normally it would be just something mediocre. The Phoenix team by itself is just but this Mustard is just bringing it to a new level. That Crex just coming in there and just lifting up the team,
just opens up a new palette.
Yeah.
That brings up something interesting that I had meant to ask you. I had a very interesting comment on YouTube a few days ago. Someone had left a comment. It was a very positive, very nice comment saying, hey, I love watching your videos. You talk really well. You're very articulate. Have you always been that way? Or like, what did you do? Like, how did you get started in being able to be the way you are? And I promise this is not about me pointing out my strengths, because I know that my strengths come from, this is what I do in my real life, right? I teach martial arts. I teach in school. I'm constantly talking in front of people. That's not everybody's journey. When you first started streaming, even before that, yes, everybody's great at bullshitting. But how do you think you developed that skill of being able to like be somebody that people say, oh no, I should listen to this guy?
Ooh, that's a good question. I do think that people get hung up on the fact that they need to be that person that, has something to say. A little too much. Like when I first started doing content, when I first started doing like streams and that type of thing, I was very much trying to replicate people that I was nothing like, and like trying to be that person. And so I think honestly, a lot of it comes down to being myself and being comfortable with being myself.
Okay.
Because who you are is unique, and people that are like you are going to enjoy what you have to say, or they're going to be weirded out by you and want to watch more, So like, I don't know. I think a lot of it comes down to being comfortable with who you are and just putting it out there. Because everyone has something that's important to hear from, I just put out a post saying, hey, Malgus Proving Grounds, people are struggling with it. I want to make a video about it. Who has a team that's won against it? I could go to the teams list that one person has or another person has, but there's going to be people out there that are using wild teams that no one else has in their roster because that's what they farmed instead of everyone else, and that could be the team that helps someone. Everyone's unique, and so I think that my life, I've always been very comfortable saying and doing random things.
Okay.
When it comes to not family members and friends.
It's different, right? Because when I'm in front of people live, I think I'm more comfortable doing it just because I've been doing the talking in front of people thing for a long time. But it's definitely different being in front of people live versus, well, I do have this security blanket of no matter how much you think I'm an idiot, you're somewhere over there in your own like insular space.
Yeah, I've mentioned this a lot. That was probably the worst anxiety for me starting streaming and stuff is my family seeing it.
Yeah.
Which being myself actually also helped a lot with that with this channel because then it's just me. They're just seeing more of me. I'm not trying to put on like this song and dance that they are seeing this different version of me. It's just me. But yeah, I've always been the type of person like I went to get a tuberculosis test and ended up with a date. Like I just talk to random people and I am very comfortable with strangers. So
Okay. All right. Okay. So, outside of the intro, I told you I do like to talk about the game a little bit. I guess my first.
Oh,
Sure. Go ahead.
ADHD moment, hardcore.
That's my life, man.
I lose the topic hard. Blind GAC.
Yeah.
I watched a tutorial on, being a streamer, and they suggested making streams that you could cut into videos and then YouTube shorts. And
Okay.
so I came up with like a list of like 5 different streams that I thought were hilarious and the type of content that I would be down for. And that was one of the ones on the list. And, I was like, I know people that know Star Wars but have never played this game, and that would be 100% down to do this for me. And I think I'm good enough that I'll take this as a personal challenge and wait for it.
It's something that I like because you have obviously and this is not. I feel like in my brain it's offensive, but I don't think it is at the same time. I don't see myself as a career streamer. I see myself as a guy who wakes up on Sundays to talk to people and then goes about my life and does other things. And I know that you are more interested in doing this full time and making this a career, and there's nothing wrong with either side of it. But when it comes to me, I'm interested in making things that are funny to me and unique and not, I'm gonna put out a guide because there's 10 other guides and it might get clicks, So for me, that resonates because that is funny and that sounds enjoyable, and that sounds like, even for somebody who has ADHD like myself, I'm like, I would sit there and watch that. I would put my feet up on my desk.
Yeah, those are the things that work best when it comes to content creation. My number one most requested thing to do often, and the thing that people enjoy a ton on my streaming side, are hot sauce streams. So every time I lose a battle or every time someone donates, I take a hit of hot sauce. And depending on, if I get held up on a wall, it'll be a hotter hot sauce or so on and so forth. And it's just me being in pain, essentially. And like, I always love challenge streams. I always love challenge videos, watching people do like, oh, every time this happens, you take a shot and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't drink, so I was like, oh, I need to come up with a way of a challenge stream that I really like, but is going to be, something that I can do. And
you can do.
Hot sauce was a natural thing, and I was like, yeah. In fact, the thought that went through my head was, it'll be like one of those games where you torture people because, you give them the car battery, but then you got to give them a second, And so you have to balance the pain, and so they can donate for milk or hot sauce. And so they have to balance trying to kill me.
After you did your first one, I was like, fuck it, I like hot stuff. I'm gonna order the 1 chip challenge. And my wife, who knows I do this, would never. I stream in the morning, Sunday mornings when she's sleeping, and she does not wake up before 10 a.m. On a Sunday, if she's woken up before 10 a.m., she's like, why did you wake me the fuck up? She woke up at 7:30 that morning to watch me. She sat in the corner of this room on a stool to watch me eat this chip and try to do a roster review after eating this chip.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I gotta tell you, it probably was not anywhere near as entertaining as you, because I do enjoy hot things. To the point where she was pissed off at me afterwards because she's like, that wasn't worth it. Like, you're not showing the pain. I woke up to see you in pain, and you're clearly not in as much pain as I thought you would be. She was not happy about that.
I was actually talking to chat just the other day about this, because they're like, oh yeah, I love hot stuff. I'll do some hot sauce with you, And they're like, you know, one person's like, oh, I can't do hot sauce at all. It would be terrible for me. And I'm like, neither can I. That's the point. Like,
It's funny
if
because
you're
it's
not
hard, yeah.
scared, yeah, if you're not scared of scary games, then no one's gonna watch you play scary games.
Yes. That's so I need to start playing Subnautica because I hate water in games. It's the worst thing. When I played Fallen Order, when you go to Kashyyyk, there's a lot of water. I quite literally paused the game, went on my phone, Googled if there was enemies in the water, and I was ready to just stop playing. Like, in my head, I had called it quits. I was like, I'm done. I don't need to see the rest of this game.
Yeah, this game is good.
I'm
it was
fine.
good up until this point. There's nothing else after this.
I was totally fine with that. I was like, I don't... It's okay. It's okay. Thankfully, there was no water enemies, and I was able to complete the game. But even, like, Super Mario 64, that stupid eel, I want nothing to do with the stupid eel in Super Mario 64. I cannot do water, so I need to play those games. Maybe I'll get some hits there.
I mean, it also might help you overcome that fear, maybe.
Fear of water in video games. Like, that's a really hyper-specific thing that'll affect me in my life.
Yeah, see, I don't like scary games at all, and so, like, I'd be great for doing scary games, but I just don't like them at all.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be no enjoyment. It would just be doing it for clicks, and I don't care to do that. I do Galaxy Heroes content because I love Star Wars. I make guides because they genuinely help people. Like, doing scary games just does not sound fun, interesting, nothing. Nope.
So you brought up your ADHD moment, and that actually brought up one of mine before we get into the game itself. The last time we talked was on Three Scoundrels. We had done the Three Scoundrels takeover. Nobody from Three Scoundrels was there except for Logan, who got drunk and hopped on. And you were on a dual stream at the time with your own channel and your own community, and had mentioned that there was someone in your community that makes fan kits of people, and he had asked if I wanted one, and I'm still waiting. It's been like 4 months, and I have not seen this kit, and I've thought about this every day. It lives rent-free in my head, and I'm a little bit like pissed off about it. I'm like, come on, where's the Egnards kit? Like,
Fair. Let me check if it's been posted in my Discord, because it's entirely possible that he made it and then I like forgot to post it on stream or forgot to send it to you. Because I've got a section for in my roster or in my Discord for Dam fan kits, the Beaver Dam, and so those ones are like, hey, I'm making a kit for this character that I enjoy. But there's also one that's Beaver Dam team kits, and so this is like, we have a full Beaver Dam team that includes me and like other people that are common in the streams, as well as like Arnold and all kinds of different stuff. Like, he goes all in and makes these kits, and I read them on stream. Like, he just made one for the guy that I did a cooking stream with not too long ago, and like added a whole bunch of stuff in there. So
see, I'll be disappointed if Cooking Guy is on there and my kit isn't there. I'll be a little bit kind of miffed about that. And if it's not there, and if this fan of yours is watching, I don't have a problem saying fuck you. And I am waiting. And please DM me, slide into my DMs. I'm a slut. I answer literally everybody. I need to see this, and you're on the clock.
Speaking of DMs, frickin' Meathead, get back to me.
I was actually talking to Meathead today.
I talked to him on one of his streams, and I was like, hey, can I DM you? He's like, yeah. He never responded. I was like, you jerk.
What I will tell you about Meathead, it's so funny because I do talk to Meathead often, and people will message me and say, hey, can you DM Meathead for me and ask him about blah, 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 blah. And the thing about Meathead is, if you ask him about food, he'll probably answer. If you ask him about Warhammer or Magic the Gathering or Fallout, he'll probably answer. If you ask him anything related to the game, he will answer, thank you for your feedback, and then ghost you. That's just how it is. That's how it is. He will reach out to me about something, and I will ask him a leading question, and he'll go, You don't need to know that. Thank you for your feedback. So.
Okay, got it. Food, Magic the Gathering. The problem with Magic the Gathering is the dude plays like competitive Commander, and I'm like, dude, I hate competitive Commander.
Yeah, I played during COVID with friends and before and in the old days, but I never played competitive. I played for fun with whiskey and just a bunch of guys drafting.
Yeah, like this guy, like I asked him in his chat, and I was like, "Oh, what's your favorite deck?" And he drops like literally the most toxic deck, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I don't think we'd get along Magic-wise."
I was always because you play now, and I haven't played in years since mid-COVID. I loved green decks, green blue, green black. I liked the big stuff that green had. And I could definitely beat Dick with like the magic and screwing someone over with like a green blue. It was my favorite.
Yeah, I love green. Green was the first color deck that I made for Commander.
I don't think I've ever played. I know the idea of Commander, but I don't think I've ever played Commander.
It's really great. I really enjoy that format. I'm glad that the new Star Wars card game came out with a similar format as well. To encourage that type of thing, because it's 4-player, and
Yes.
so it's meant to be more politics and that type of thing, where you're like, if I attack him, are you gonna
Will you attack him?
hit me? Can I take care of this threat without everyone immediately thinking I'm the threat? Like it adds a layer to the game where it's a lot more just hanging out with your buddies versus being just super competitive.
That's what I always liked about Magic, and when I played it with friends, what we would do is we'd buy a draft box. And it would be 4 of us, and we would go out, and one of us would bring a pizza, one of us would bring a 6-pack, one of us would bring like a cheaper bottle of whiskey, nothing expensive, and one person got a free night. And we'd play draft, and the first draft would always take a long time because anything over $10 we would put aside and we would sell it back. So basically our draft boxes became free. Right, because after our whole draft, we'd sell all of that stuff, we'd buy a new draft box, and like twice a month, we'd just get together and dick around with some fun decks, and nothing with permanence, nothing like, oh, I have to get like the most magical, mystical card, just fun shit. I've played the Star Wars one once or twice. I have a deck upstairs, but I'm a lonely, almost 40-year-old man. I don't have a lot of friends that play that kind of stuff or have the time to play that kind of stuff.
I have 4 boxes of it and 6 decks, and I haven't touched them in the 7-8 months that I've been here since I moved, just because I don't have a play group here, and I just don't have the time with all content creation and everything. I just don't have the time.
It's tough. It is tough. But anyway, the 3 people who will be listening do want to know a little bit about the game, and I guess I am curious, and we'll start with a general question, not intended to be taken anyway. Today, which is April 24th, what are your feelings on the game? What is your overall temperature on the game? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like how are you feeling? How positive or negative are you with how things are overall right now?
I am doing better.
Okay.
Right after the Ty Dorito and the Punishing one came out was the worst I ever felt in the game.
Okay.
I didn't want to play my GAC, which is wild for me because that's what kept me in the game. Because I built my entire roster around off meta, and then they just, every single off meta counter I'd built, they just threw in the trash. And I was like, okay. But the game's never been in a better place for free to play. The Lightspeed bundles have been a great catch-up mechanic for a lot of people. Marquees are cheaper. The characters they're dropping are cool characters. The fact that we've gotten Bane, the fact that I'm pretty sure CG's watching my channel even though they won't acknowledge me, because I've said for the last 8 months every time someone asks me about Lord Vader is, for the Revenge of the Sith anniversary, if they bring in Darkseid clones to lift up Lord Vader and give him a full new team, I will go for him as my next GL, and I'll go all in on those clones. And I've said it for 8 months, and then all of a sudden it was announced, and I was like, fine, CG. Gosh.
They're watching. they have one guy who's just like dedicated to watching all of the creators and how they can screw them over.
See, for me, it hasn't been. It's been like, you know what? I'm gonna go for Ahsoka. And they're like, oh, but you were supposed to go for Jabba next. You're going for Ahsoka instead. That's gonna harm your roster. Here's a Jabba Lightspeed bundle the week before you get Ahsoka, so you can get both of them on the same day. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. Like, they're watching my roster and they're like, they're building for my roster.
You're making mistakes. I wish they would do that for me, because when I was a big proponent of Jar Jar coming to the game, I am convinced that Meathead goaded me into creating the Jar Jar petition. I saw it on the event server and I was like, I know that this is for me. I know that it's for me. Jar Jar obviously was announced like 2 months later, and I knew, I'm not dumb. I know the petition had nothing to do with it. I think the petition was like a lead up. It was like, let's get people excited because we're gonna announce this. But then those piece of shits put that stupid ass. I was ready to R9 every Omicron, every Zeta, all 6A mods, and those stupid assholes with their Galactic Challenge Omicron. The most useless piece of shit thing in this godforsaken game. And he's the only character. I'm convinced that they were like, we're gonna fuck with Egnards. We're gonna just fuck with him. Just for the hell of it. We're gonna piss him off.
The one and only time in Galaxy of Heroes I've ever been top 20 in the world is top 20 to have that Omicron.
Oh my god. I have begged, I've put it on Reddit, I've asked Meathead personally, I have put it everywhere. Please, just please, please. We saw that it didn't work and nobody liked it and it was just a meme. Please just make it a TB Omicron or a Conquest Omicron. Do something. I don't care, but I cannot apply that stupid GC Omicron. And that red number 1 has been just bothering me every day since.
Haunting you.
It has been haunting me. It just appears on my roster, and that is my low point in this game, was that day that was announced.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I'm trying to remember, one of them, was it that one? I think it was that one. There's another semi-worthless Omicron on that team, I feel like.
I mean, the Boss Nass one for TW, it's not amazing, but like it's still great and was great when it first came out. The TB Omicron it allows me to auto R5 or R9 planets. So
the Raid Omicron. That's
the
what
Raid
it was.
Omicron.
They convinced me on the Raid Omicron because they're like, hey, we want to know how good this team is without Jar Jar. With the Raid Omicron, can you full auto it? And so my chat convinced me on that one. And then I was down to a singular extra Omicron, and someone donated $69 for me to apply the Phalanx Omicron. And I was like, it's my last one, but I'm a man of my word, and I did jokingly say that $69 and I will apply it. So here we are with the Phalanx Omicron now.
You know what? It allows me to auto it. It allows me to hit the button and walk away from my phone. It's worth it for me. I enjoy that.
Yeah. I cannot wait to get the America Omicron for that same reason. If I can just hit auto and walk away from territory battles, I'm all in.
I'm glad that I've met someone else that does that, because every creator I know is like, no, TB Omicron's bad. And I am like, yes, spend less time, please, less time, do things on auto.
Especially like now, with how many Omicrons we get access to, we upped our Omicrons by a significant margin. Yeah.
Especially if you buy the Eras Pass or the Episode Pass. If you buy that every month, that's an extra like 10 to 12 that you're getting on top of the extra 1 you get each week over what GCs used to give. I don't feel any Omicron pressure like I used to.
Yeah, I really don't. It's really weird because with Zepho and Mandalore, plus this change to episode passes, my only real bottleneck is like Kairos. Or not Kairos.
Signal data?
Zetas.
Sorry,
okay. Brain not working. Zetas. I said something wrong because Kairos are really easy now.
I was like, Zepho, Mandalore, Kairos. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no. Like I used to back when the Gungans were coming out. I had to like buy the Kyrotech packs every single week just to be able to keep up with getting the Gungans ready to go in for Jar Jar. Now, I haven't touched Cairo farming for like 6 months. It's just, I don't need them anymore. But Zetas, there's always a need for Zetas, and signal data, it's basically the 2 holdups now, and that's it.
I think with Kyrotech, like, I actually recently just stopped refreshing normal energy. I don't see a need to do it at my level of the game, you know, at 12.98 million GP. Even yes, just I need Bronzium 1. Million, dude. It is, you know, because you know that when you do that, somebody goes, I just checked your roster and you're not 13 million yet, asshole. So I want to stem that away. I stopped doing that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put that somewhere else, because I don't need... I'm still going to do the stun gun node, but I don't need to refresh the energy.
Changing your speech from 12.98 to from 13 to 12.98, just to make sure people don't get mad at you in the comment section.
That was me being pedantic.
The first one's gonna be you're an asshole regardless.
You know what's funny? I what I like to do sometimes, and I joke about this, is I will meet players who live nearby, and if they're like, hey, I live near your area, I don't give them my address, but I'm like, hey, there's a bar about 20 minutes from here. There's a bar like 30. Let's go. And I've met a bunch of people, and I sat down at a bar with a guy on Tuesday. And one of the he's a very nice guy. Actually, I'm going to show you. He makes comics on Reddit, and I'm not going to pronounce his Reddit name because it's really long, and he laughed at me when I tried. But he made me this solo cup, which is
that's sick.
Cup. Yeah. So I have that up on my desk now. But one of the first...
That's amazing.
One of the first things he said to me was, after I bought him a beer, he goes, you know, you do seem like a CG shill sometimes. So I get plenty of shit.
Dude, I have never been called a CG shill until like last week when I posted a video about the Nightfall event. Oh my gosh. People lost their minds about that video.
It's such a lovely thing when you're called a CG shill. That wasn't the first time, but when you're called a CG shill for the first time, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm not gonna name names, of course, especially because I don't even know what this guy's username would have been or what it is. But I had one guy who was like, "This is such an awful take. Read the room." And I was like, "Dude, you're looking for content creators that agree with everything you say." Good luck.
I think it actually brings up an interesting thing, because as a content creator, whether it's text, whether it's video, whether it's streaming, players, I think, want to find someone who always agrees with them, and there's never a spectrum. It's either you hate the company or you're shilling for them, right? There's never a in the middle. You're a person with a nuanced opinion. You're either angry and loud, or you're on the payroll.
This is actually something I kind of pride myself, and I think my entire community prides themselves on, is being a middle ground. Because, like, you know, I've met a lot of people, and I am a person that has a sibling who thinks Star Wars Episode 2 is the best Star Wars movie ever made.
Younger than you?
And no, he's a year older than me.
Okay. But you're still younger than I am by a few years, so I think you grew up prequel era, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, I was 8 years old when Episode 3 came out.
Okay. So, like, prime area. Yeah, just because I do think that people who that was their Star Wars to start tend to like it more than older, but...
And then I also have a brother who's older than me as well, who insists that Episode 8 is one of the best made Star Wars movies.
God.
Like, I have a lot of people that I talk to, and I can see why they say the things that they say. Yeah. I can see why my brother loves Episode 2. He's always loved things that involve spectacle. That's what he cares about when he goes to see the movies. He wants to see Transformers because explosions, cool stuff. And so Star Wars Episode 2 has some of the best spectacle, seeing the clones for the first time and all this stuff. It's really well done in that sense, even though the dialogue's just doo-doo. So like I can see why, and so we try to, you know, kind of see both sides of anything and talk about things. And so like when Acolyte was coming out, I was really proud of the community, because, you know, I go into other people's communities, like I'd go into Arnold's chat or Asteroid Mech's chat, and like someone would mention something and just immediately just hate speech and all this stuff just popping up, whereas we were just over here just having a calm, collected talk about it, and we're like, oh yeah, I didn't like this so much about it, but you know, this was good. I enjoyed that. There's definitely some Star Wars nerds there. I've always wanted to see Cortosis on screen, you know, and so I love seeing that in my community, because it's not often that I get to see that just in life in general. I think we always try to diversify and separate.
I think Acolyte is a really good example of that, and kind of how I feel as well, because you're right when you talk about like the Acolyte, or even a lot of newer movies, and I'm going to use things that I don't actually believe, but when I tell people I don't like the Acolyte, I'm like, oh, I didn't find it interesting, I found it boring, I almost feel like I have to say it has nothing to do with the main characters being lesbian witches. I have no problem with that. I just don't think the writing was good, right? And you almost have to say it, because that seems to be the prevailing hate speech of just like, if it's something that I don't agree with, I have to hate everything about it. And I need to be like, no, that's not why I don't hate it. It just wasn't good.
Well, okay, so yeah, this is one of those things that me and my brother talk about this all the time, because my brother, once again, loves Episode 8, and so we have a lot of conversations about this kind of stuff, and he's super into film as well as I am, and so, you know, it's always enjoyable to have conversations with him. And you know, a lot of people just seem to kind of like, I don't like how Acolyte made me feel. And then went online, found someone who validated those feelings and said, this is why I didn't like it. And they're like, okay, I'm going to take those, and those are my reasons. It's okay to just say you don't like something for whatever reason. You don't have to have a reasoning behind it. And I feel like too many people just kind of grab other people's reasoning from online, just like, that's mine now. I'm using that as my reasoning. And if anyone asks, because I feel like it has to have a reason behind it. I'm like, you can just say you don't like it. And like, if you want to be analytical, you can be, and you can be like, hey, I don't like the writing, or, you know, I don't like this, that, or the other thing, which is definitely the writing, considering one of the big things that people complain about is the lesbian witches, when there's an openly lesbian relationship in Andor and not a single person said a word.
Right, and Andor is like a great show that everybody loves, right? It's,
the writing is phenomenal. It's great, Like,
I think I was actually upstate seeing my brother. So I have a brother who's 10 years older than me. He was born in 1977, and the OG Star Wars is his Star Wars. He is a Star Wars super fan, and we were talking about this, and we were talking about this show, this Tales thing that I do, and he was like, man, I know I don't play the game, but I want to go on there and use that as my platform. And I think I need to do a special edition where it's just your brother and my brother, because my brother feels that The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker are so bad that it has retroactively ruined his love of everything else Star Wars. And he will spare no time or expense or energy to explain that to anybody that will listen.
I do think Episode 9, I don't think I've met anyone except for, I haven't met the person, but I know of one person who says Episode 9 is their favorite movie. I have never met anyone else besides that who are adamant that Episode 9 was a good movie. Whether you liked Episode 8 or you hated Episode 8, Episode 9 was still bad.
So my feeling is actually a little bit different, and I had this conversation with somebody he's gonna watch this, so I'll name drop him, C Squared, a few weeks ago, where my belief is that The Last Jedi was a jumping off point of Episode 7, where they just said, no, screw it, we don't want to do anything from there, we're gonna retcon everything. And Rise of Skywalker was shit, but it was the best thing they could have given us with the shit they were given.
See, so here's where I diverge because they were so adamant on fan service and doing what they wanted to do that I think that they trapped themselves in making a crap movie. Because they set up a big bad. They set up a big bad in Kylo Ren, and they could have accepted that and gone with it. But instead, they're adamant we need to redeem Kylo Ren, which means they have to add some other threat into the storyline. And so they're like, Palpatine. Like
It's
by
always
locking
Palpatine.
themselves in. Yeah, by locking themselves into it, they basically with like these non-negotiables that they're saying we need, have this be different, have this be different because J.J. Abrams is very fan servicey. He's
Yes,
a
of
little
course.
too much of a fan. You can tell that just through episode 7 with the call outs and everything, and so going into episode 9 with him as the director is really rough when the last movie basically did the opposite, it was subverting the expectations of what everything Star Wars normally is. And so, I think they kind of wheeled themselves into a corner and they could have done something out of it, but they were so adamant on retconning episode 8 and pretending it didn't exist that they kind of just forced themselves to make a bad movie.
Well, that's why I do think it's not a good movie at all. But I've said this to anybody that will listen. My belief on the whole thing is Rian Johnson or J.J. Abrams, either of them could have made a great trilogy. Either one. I don't know which one would be better, and I don't know if it would be the best one. But either of them would have made a good trilogy, and a lot of the problem was back end of all the back and forth and the corporate and like this one, that one, that one. Let's change it. Let's not have any cohesion. Let's not have a central figure to make sure this all makes sense together. So my only contention with them taking out the director of the 9th movie and saying, no, we're going to bring Abrams back, is he was given what he was given. His job was to change what Disney didn't like, because otherwise they would have kept their director for that movie. And he did what he could. And it sucked. But I think it was going to fail no matter what at that point.
Yeah, I think it's been a learning experience for Disney. And I think this actually might change soon, and I'm a little worried about the change. Jumping into future Disney stuff. So George Lucas didn't care. He didn't care about what you had to say. He's doing it his way. He doesn't care that it's been Korriban for however many years. He's changing it to Moraban because Korriban sounds too much like Coruscant. And I wouldn't name something from the good guys that would be about the bad guys. Same. So he just didn't care. He did what he wanted, and it would, ruin a lot of stuff. And it was his way or the highway. What I believe is canon. Everything else is not. I'm just making money off of you writing fan fiction, essentially. And then you switch over to Kathleen Kennedy, exact opposite. She chooses someone she trusts, J.J. Abrams, and then hands off. You do this, you got it. That's why we keep having one good show, one bad show, because she's just hands off. I trust you, you do it. Jon Favreau did a great job because Jon Favreau's a great guy and he does good with it. Yeah. She's completely like hands off. You take over and I won't touch it. And from what it looks like recently, there's been a lot of scenes of Dave Filoni hanging out with Kathleen Kennedy lately, and all the rumors about her retiring. It's looking like Dave might take over for her in the next year or two. And unfortunately, Dave does have a little bit of that George Lucas harsh, what I say is canon, otherwise it doesn't exist to me. And I'm a little worried about that as well, because Disney has tried to at least keep a cohesive story, and I prefer that. So we'll see. I'm excited for the future, but I'm also worried for the future. I think Jon Favreau would have been would be the perfect person to put at the top, but
it's funny because
he's also a busy dude doing other things.
Somebody had posted on Reddit like a picture from Celebrations, all the upcoming Star Wars projects, and they're like, oh, we can't wait for all this content for 20 more years of SWGOH. And my initial reaction was, well, let's play a game of name which of these projects is going to be canceled in the next 2 years. We've got 20 projects. How many of them are actually going to make it? Because that seems to be what's kind of happened with Star Wars.
Yeah, all these projects are on a basis of whether or not a previous project
Does
succeeds.
well enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Now,
Now,
like,
continue, please.
just episode 8 into Solo. Like, Solo
Yeah.
wasn't
Ugh.
necessarily awful by any means. Like,
No.
episode 8, a lot of people hated it, but Solo being like 4 months later after it came out just wrecked it. Everyone just boycotted it. And it was like, I enjoyed it. It bothered me that everything that we know Han Solo for happened in a week, but beyond that, like, it was a decent movie.
I think the only thing for me that Solo ruined the magic on, because I enjoyed the movie. It was a fun movie. I had no problems with it, but it's just one of those movies where, just like episode 1 had to do with the midichlorians, like, I don't need everything explained to me. Right? If you want to show me a young Han Solo doing a couple things, great, but I don't need every line that he's ever said explaining the origin of it. Like, that's not, you're ruining like this vision of him in my head. But the movie on its own, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I'd watch it again anytime, 100%.
One of my favorite continuity things that was just wrecked because of the different directors between 7 and 8 is the dice. Uh, so originally in Star Wars Episode 7, Han had a scene where he comes onto the Millennium Falcon for the first time, the whole moof milker scene. Some moof milker put a condenser on the hyperdrive. That whole scene, he's supposed to there was a scene where he walks in and sees the dice on the dash of the Millennium Falcon and like interacts with them, and it's like an emotional moment as he's coming back to the Falcon. And so then in episode 8 they made that a thing because he knew Ryan Johnson knew about that scene, and so then he made it a thing, having Luke pass those dice over to Leia and that type of thing, assuming that that was still there, and then it was cut before the final edit of the movie, as they had already filmed and like set it up as a major piece and everything for episode 8. And so then he's just like, well, okay. And then Solo comes out and it's like, finally we'll explain this dice thing that doesn't make sense.
It's, yeah. Again, I'm someone who watches movies like 2 or 3 times, so I don't pick up on like the minutia things, like nerds like you do. Just kidding. I am a nerd I'm a nerd in my own ways. But again, like Solo, I have no problem with, and I do agree. I've heard that take before, where like the hate of 8 kind of like bled into what Solo was, and then Solo failing, canceled the Obi-Wan movie, which did end up becoming the miniseries, and I think it canceled 1 or 2 other major projects they had intended to do, and that's Disney being like, Disney.
Same thing with Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett not doing nearly as well as expected, and everyone hating Book of Boba Fett.
Oh my
and
God.
Then that bled into more projects being canceled, and yeah, it's just been
Disney being Disney. I want to get on to one more final point, just with the game, because of everything going on. Again, when I do this stuff, I have my own ADHD moments, and we intend to talk about the game, and I go, oh shit, this is more interesting to me. You're telling me that you're more positive on the game right now. I generally agree with that. I've been finding when I'm hating the game, I will go a year plus without spending $1. When I am enjoying the game, I spend a lot more, and now I have a counter on my streams, and that's been getting reset every couple weeks, because I'm like, ooh, this pack, this looks great. Ooh, this pack, this looks great. So just going into the game, you just did your first GAC. Did you buy any of the Focus Datacrons?
Yes.
What's your experience with them?
I didn't really do any testing with them, because the only one that I had was the Phoenix Cron for the lock-in, and I decided to just test it because I won the GAC like easily.
Okay.
I full cleared, and I didn't really need the Datacron, and in 3v3 Phoenix isn't great anyways. And so I decided to just kind of throw Phoenix against an Iden Versio team with Kanan and Ezra instead of a Krex, just to kind of see what happens with the focused Cron, and it kept them alive for a long time. And I honestly think if I could have played it right, because I did mess up a couple things, I think if you play it right, I think you could do some really gross stuff even in 3v3 with some regular regular Hera Astra and random characters. But overall, seems a little busted.
Okay.
Based on like 5v5 kind of stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. They seem busted. They're much more expensive to get, and they're also free to play friendly, which is weird.
Okay. Yeah, the no relic requirement has been an interesting thing for people.
Uh-huh. And so like even just the stat boost from the focused Datacron can help out like a newer account. So I don't think I'm fully upset about it, though I think that if they're all this broken as this set is, we may have a really rough meta for Kyber 1. I don't think it'll affect most people, but I think Kyber 1 will have a really rough meta because it's essentially you either get the focused Datacrons or you lose.
So you think as a Kyber 1, you're a Kyber 1 player, correct?
I'm Kyber 2.
Kyber 2. Okay. So you're down in the boonies with like me and Kyber, like that area. But as you move up, do you feel like, and it's hard as a creator because sometimes you almost feel like you do things just because you're like, oh, well, I'm going to test it for people. Do you feel like just as from a player perspective that it's something that you're going to engage with often? Depending, obviously, on the characters and everything else, or is like my personal opinion is I do feel like I'm unlikely to engage with them often in their current state.
I think that it'll be an interesting one because I think there's going to be crons that we see a lot of use out of, and I think there's ones that we're going to see little use out of. Like, for instance, the Old Republic one, I have no desire to get it all the way up. I just took it to level 3 for the Darth Revan getting back his mission at the beginning of each battle.
I did that.
And so that way he can hold better. And so I think I'll interact with it when there's really broken ones that I have access to. But even then, it's so expensive to get into them.
Yeah.
Like, the barrier to entry is so Kyber 1 level for getting to level 15 that I don't think I'll do more than like getting them to where they can be, especially because like there's no content behind it. Like I saw someone post a video about Datacrons recently, and the title was solid. I looked at it and I was like, oh dang, that was actually a really good idea. I wish I had thought of that. And then I looked at the views and it was like 10 views in like 3 hours. I was like, yeah, okay, that's Datacrons. Like, no one wants to watch Datacron stuff, and you watch Arnold's channel, and if you watch for when a new broken Datacron comes out, he'll post a video, change the title 5 times, and thumbnail 3 times before he finally gets something that'll actually get people to click on it, because no one cares.
Yeah. I do think they're a little on the expensive side. I've said this, and I'll say it in video form as well. I don't think I have yet. I do think that by a maximum of set 3, we will see the episode point price go down to $7,500. And I do think that we will see, right now, I think the price point for a max Datacron is 3.8 times a regular max Datacron. I do think that that's going to go down to about 3 times.
I hope it does go down because it is insane. Like, I'm sitting there with 22 million credits and I run out before I hit the end of a focused cron. Like, that's absolutely wild.
I think it's tough because if they're not and I have said this when they first came out and now we're just starting to test them, if you're using it on offense, yes, it can beat a team. Maybe it can beat something you had trouble beating before, but it can only beat one team. So you're trading 4 Datacrons for 1 Datacron to beat a team. And in Kyber 1, you have an answer for everything anyway. The only utility I really see with them is on defense, where they have the potential to defeat multiple teams. And like you, I purchased the Mission Val one because I said, oh, this might fuck a couple of people up by not realizing, oh, she's going to revive a few times. I don't think it'll happen all 4 months, but I do think for a couple of battles, it's going to screw people up for this 3v3.
I mean, isn't that the point of whaling? Like, that's for Kyber 1, that's the point of whaling, or for anyone, really. If you get an Ahsoka early on, you're assuming that your Ahsoka is going to hold for the first couple of months. And that's essentially what these focused Datacrons feel like, is just another way to charge whales to win for the first like 2 weeks when there's like no data, no one knows how to beat them, and so you're going to get a little bit better rewards. And so I feel like it's very much weaponizing that same idea of you get it now before everyone else knows how to beat it.
That was my whole plan, and if the mission unique was on like the level 12 or the 15, I wouldn't have purchased it. I think just because it was at the 3, I said, you know, fuck it. I bought the episode pass last month. I have a ton of episode currency just sitting there, and I'm buying random crap. Let's try this out for a level 3. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. If it had been like much higher, just no desire. Although the Old Republic team is doing fairly well. I'm actually really surprised by the data on that one.
I haven't. You'll be unsurprised to learn that I have not looked at any of the data yet. Not to say that GAC doesn't interest me, but like I spend so much time on the TB side that I don't have time to look at that data often.
Yeah, it's like it's beating gas. It's like one of those teams that you're basically stuck at. You use something over this level of power, otherwise you're screwed.
And is that
Kinda
in the 3s or the last season of 5s? Just the Old Republic in general, or with the Focus Datacron?
Yeah, that's in the 5s without the Datacron.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the Karth team. And I'm like, because I was like assuming, I literally got the Omicron just for the 3v3 because I was like, oh my gosh, not only does this have the most delicious taste to it, I love flavor. I love when they give flavor to things, and this is such a fun callback to things that no one knows about except for me, who played KOTOR like 17 times. And so I'm like, this has a great flavor, and it's going to work in 3v3. I love that. That's all I care about, is having another use for Darth Revan. And then 5v5 was just like, if it works, it works.
I found
it
didn't work for me in 5v5, but I also don't have a full relict OR team, so I didn't really expect it to.
It's very dependent on like you having the right people. It needs to be all light side. You need to have like Juhani on there. Like there's a lot of stipulations.
I like you apply. I like weird things. So Marin resonated with me. I love that her kid is super weird. I played KOTOR growing up. Ironically, it wasn't one of my favorite games. I grew up playing, I know, I'm sorry, I also hate Fallen Order, but I don't hate KOTOR. I grew up playing JRPGs, Final Fantasy, Legend of Dragoon, all these like 50, 60 hour epic cinematic games. And when I played KOTOR for the first time in, I don't know, a grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, to me, it felt like a dumber version of those things. With that said, I was in a different point in my life, and it's a game that I do want to revisit through a new lens and say, okay, you know, I've had my palate cleanser years where I'm not comparing it to those things. I would want to play it again for that reason, but I did apply the Omicron just because it looked fun. It looked silly. It looked like something different, and I was like, that does resonate with me.
Yeah, there's something we call perfect peepees on the channel. So passion projects are important to everyone. It's what keeps us going in Galaxy of Heroes. There's nothing wrong with a little peepee. And the perfect peepees are those that are going to be good in the game, you love in canon, and makes you giggle.
Yeah.
And if you can nail all 3 of those, then they're perfect PPs. And so, for instance, like the Garsax Imperial Super Commando with Maul is a perfect PP for me because I like Maul in canon. And then, you know, the way they just delete people is hilarious. Makes me giggle every single time that I use them. And then on top of that, they're just amazing in the game. You can, you know, split that up into 2 teams, or you can throw it in with just Garsax and Imperial Super Commando and just watch them delete all kinds of people. I love it. Perfect PP.
It's like the Ahsoka on Coruscant, and nobody needs to beat this mission on Coruscant with all the protection up. It's the one mission where she does not hit like a wet noodle. Like everything just explodes.
Crap out of me. Yeah, like the first time I did it, I was just like, what is happening? I just hit for 4 million damage. It's turn 2.
It's just silly. You're like, this is so much fun. For some reason, I enjoy doing this. She doesn't have a moist towelette anymore. Like, damage is happening. I enjoy this.
Yeah.
With that said, my man, I know you got a thought. I don't want to keep you that long. I want to leave.
Oh, no, I've got empty, nothing here. I actually did not have another thought, but thanks for assuming that I'm that intelligent.
I wanted to leave you with final thoughts, and from my perspective, again, like I said, for anyone who doesn't know, Rabid Beaver hopped onto the scene, just exploded. He went from like, Beaver, what is this, to everywhere. I see your guides literally everywhere. Bones is gonna start hating you. He hates Bit Dynasty because everybody is like, just go watch a Bit Dynasty video. It's gonna eventually be, fuck this Beaver guy because everyone just tells me to watch his shit.
I don't know a single person who hasn't said, hey, F this Beaver, but okay.
But I want to leave you, with the final thought and anything, where to find your shit, what you're doing, what's going on. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah. I appreciate coming on. It's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know. Find me somewhere on the street. Come mug me. I don't know. No.
You heard it there first. Go mug a beaver.
Yeah.
Stick your hands in his pocket. Steal his wallet.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I stream on Twitch, stream on YouTube, Rabid Beaver. Not hard to find. Rabid Beavers will go. You'll find me. Any keyword in Galaxy of Heroes, then Rabid Beaver, you'll find me.
Look for the hot sauce videos.
Yes. Or blind. Blind GACs are fun.
Or that's one I'm telling you, I need you to like DM me because I'm people stream when I'm at work, so I never watch them. And I need you to DM me and be like, hey, I just did a blind GAC. Here's the link, so that I can watch it that night while I'm laying down because it just tickles me and I need to see this.
Heck yeah. I will DM you next time. Promise.
Yeah, slide into my DMs. Anyway, man, I appreciate it. To everyone listening, peace out. And I don't know, I guess may the force be with you, something like that.